Presented by Motorsport South Africa and its partners Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford, Sasol and Dunlop. We have called them brave, we have called them crazy, and sometimes we've even called them stupid. But no matter what you call them, these gravel road warriors are the best drivers our country has to offer. And this is the South African Rally Championship. Just 4 weeks ago, the Warriors doing battle in the South African Rally Championship did so once more in the York timber plantations in Mpumalanga during the famous Sasol Rally. And it was former champion Cronje who got the better of reigning champion Poulter by taking the win. Two wins from 2 events mean a full house of 32 points for Mark Cronje, 8 points more than reigning champion Leroy Poulter. Gugu Zulu is a distant third, ahead of his Volkswagen teammate Henk Latergan and Toyota's Janil de Villiers. So it's time to move on to round 3 of the 8-round 2015 South African Rally Championship. And although we stayed in Mpumalanga, we moved to the Highveld for the first ever Secunda Motor Rally. The local community, businesses and landowners really rallied behind the South African Rally Commission to host an event of this stature. And the town and its people came out in full force to witness the spectacle. And speaking of a spectacle, the show started early for Secunda residents when the normally sedate scrutineering process, which took place at the Secunda Toyota dealership the evening before the rally, was turned into a spectacle where fans young and old received the opportunity to get up close and personal with their rally heroes. But on Friday morning it was back to business as usual for the teams who had to not only face each other, but also the prospect of taking on the unknown. And the championship may only be 2 rounds old, but the time to make a move was now. Former double champion Mark Cronje will tell you that it's never easy, although he leads the points race.
The team have done a tremendous job and they've given me a couple of extra horses for this type of event, and I'm hoping that's going to be what's going to stand us in good stead.
Leroy Poulter will have to try and stop the Cronje steamroller here in Secunda.
For sure, you know, we obviously, he's got a nice championship lead, so we're going to have to try and get one over him now.
Huge news to hit the Secunda Service Park is that the popular Hergenfecken returns to the team, with which he won 2 drivers' titles. And what a reunion, as his longtime co-driver Pierre Aris will join him inside the Volkswagen Sasol Racing Polo.
Yeah, look, I'm very excited. You know, I'm back in the Volkswagen. Car was good for me in the past, so I'm hoping that we can get back to winning ways.
With Aris jumping ship, it means that Gugu Zulu will also have a new co-driver in the form of Hilton or Free. Volkswagen will once again have 3 polos on the start line, with Henk Latergan behind the wheel, and the youngster should favour these conditions. Toyota's number 2 Janil de Villiers will also be more than keen to get his season on track.
Yeah, look, I mean, we were running pretty good at the Sasol. You know, we were solid third place, and then unfortunately 10 k's from the finish we had an engine problem.
Jaapie van Niekerk was hurt in a crash during the previous round, but he recovered enough to take on the Secunda rally behind the wheel of a spare New Africa Developments Ford Fiesta.
I think we'll do well in this rally. I think Secunda rally, that will suit us. The roads are good. I'm looking forward to it.
Namibian Tilo Himmel is improving with every outing, while youngster Ernie van der Walt will only tackle his second event behind the wheel of an S2000 Yaris. And as always, expect to see some fireworks from another Namibian in the form of Wilro Dippenaar in the NRC4 Class Aurus, along with Tiens Hubert in a similar car. And this is what will be in store for the teams on the brand new Secunda Motor Rally. A 316-kilometre route consisting of 12 special stages and 185 kilometres against the stopwatch. Rally HQ and the service park is based at the popular Lake Umuzi waterfront development across the road from the Graceland Casino, while local landowners and other businesses received the rally circus with open arms, as explained by the acting executive mayor for the town, Madam Ngono.
It's so exciting to have this event, and our people in the community are very much excited.
Wilro Dippenaar is the first to be waved off in front of the Graceland Casino, ahead of Inglatergan and the Toyota of current champion Leroy Polter. The Ford of Cronje will be fourth on the road, followed by Jaapie van Niekerk and the VW of Gugu Zulu. Harken Vekken makes a welcome return to rallying ahead of Janelle de Villiers. Stage 1 is the aptly named Graceland Casino. 9 kilometres of smooth and scraped dirt roads right across the road from the casino and country club. Wilro Dippenaar and co-driver Kes Naidu get proceedings underway with the PZN panel beaters Oris, the first car to disappear into the unknown. Just 2 minutes later, Henk Latergan and Barry White do the same behind the wheel of the Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo. This is the champion pairing of Leroy Polter and Alvin Coetzee in the first Castrol Toyota Yaris. And this is Polter's biggest rival, the former champion pairing of Mark Cronje and Robin Houghton in the Ford Performance Fiesta. And 7 minutes and 24 seconds after starting stage 1, Wilro Dippenaar crossed the flying finish to set the first benchmark. But benchmarks are there to be broken, and Henk Latergan's time of 7 minutes 15 seconds did exactly that. But only until Leroy Polter broke the timing beams with a time of 7 minutes 10 seconds. As predicted, Polter was fast out the blocks, but as always, so was Mark Cronje. A stage-winning time of 7 minutes 8 seconds made his intentions very clear. Janelle de Villiers and Carolyn Swan in the second Castrol Toyota Yaris were well aware that they had to be on the pace from the word go, so a time of 7 minutes 13 seconds was good enough for third quickest. But times on this well-prepared stage were very close, with Thilo Himmel and Armand de Toy crossing the flying finish in a time of 7 minutes 15 seconds. It was just 1/10 of a second faster than former champions Harken Vekken and Pierre Arries, made their welcome return behind the wheel of the Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo, who in turn only managed to beat their Volkswagen teammates Gugu Zulu and Hilton Free by a single second, with the new Africa Developments Ford Fiesta of Jaapie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman a further 3/10 of a second back. Very close racing, and we've only just completed stage 1.
Into left 4 is right 8. Left 4 is right.
From stage 1, it was up the road for stages 2 and 3 called Kwesi and Van der Merwe respectively, where the Landover, and yes, you guessed it, Kwesi van der Merwe, put in a huge effort to provide the event with more than 30 kilometres of sweeping rally roads. As with stage 1, it was Wilro Dippenaar and Kes Naidu who had to sweep the roads in the PZN and North City panel beaters Oris. Dippenaar is one quick driver, but the young man experienced early troubles.
We also have a bit of a misfire, so you have to go do the short stage and go sort all these things out.
It got worse for the Namibian as the misfire intensified over the next few stages, forcing Dippenaar to call it a day and retire. As with so many events before, the inaugural Secunda Motor Rally was also very quickly turning into a two-way fight between defending champions Leroy Polter and Alvin Coetzee and double former champions Mark Cronje and Robin Houghton. The difference between the Castrol Toyota and the Ford Performance Fiesta was a mere 2.6 seconds in favour of the Ford after stage 1, and on stage 2, Cronje extended his advantage over Polter by another 6 seconds. So Polter had every intention to fight back on stage 3. But this incident did not help the champions' cause at all. And with just about zero visibility, the Yaris lost more than a minute and dropped down the leaderboard. Their duel was effectively over before it started. With Cronje now comfortably in the lead, a new battle formed for second position, a battle between Toyota's Janil de Villiers and the Volkswagen of Henk Latergan. De Villiers managed to beat the young man by 2 seconds on the 28-kilometre long stage 2 and edged ahead by another 3 seconds on stage 3 to lead the Volkswagen by just 5.6 seconds to be precise. While Latergan had his sights set on the battle with de Villiers for second place, someone else launched an attack. The new Africa Developments Ford Fiesta of Jaapie van Niekerk set the second quickest time of all on stage 3 to move into 4th position overall, just 0.3 of a second behind Latergan. Van Niekerk's pace was enough to open up a slight gap between himself and the chasing pack of Volkswagens, which was led by the Polo of Hergen Fecken and Pierre Arries, who in turn held a slight 1.4 second advantage over Thilo Himmel and Armand de Toy, with the Polo of Gugu Zulu and new co-driver Hilton Orfree a further 14 seconds back. And unfortunately for youngster Ernie van der Walt and Greg Godridge, their rally ended early when the engine in their Vecto Petroleum Yaris cried, "Enough!" It's the name of Marc Cornier with a nearly 20-second cushion at the top of the leaderboard. There's not much breathing space between Janil de Villiers, Henk Latergan and Jaapie van Niekerk, with the name of Hergen Fecken still within striking distance. Time for a quick breather back in the Dunlop Service Park on the banks of Lake Umuzi in Secunda, and time for Leroy Poulter to reflect on the incident which ruined his rally.
You know, I looked under the bonnet, and when I closed it, I didn't close the bonnet pins. So obviously my fault, and the bonnet opened in the stage, and we lost a lot of time.
On to stage 4, the same 28 kilometres of dusty dirt on Kwesi van der Merwe's farm, which made up stage 2. Leroy Poulter had every intention to make up some of the lost time from the previous stage when an open bonnet left him blind. But it wasn't to be, as the Castrol Toyota Yaris picked up a flat tyre. More than 2.5 minutes were lost while Poulter and Kutsia changed the punctured tyre. Up ahead, Henk Latergan had already set a benchmark time of 17 minutes 41 seconds, which was substantially faster than earlier in the day. But would it be fast enough to make inroads on de Villiers' second position? The gap was just 5.6 seconds before the start of the stage, and de Villiers posted a time of 17 minutes 45 seconds. The gap between the two reduced to just 0.8 of a second. But that was only for second position, as Marc Cornier was still well in control of the race. This was the former champion in full flight on stage 4. And that was a very scary moment for the Ford driver, who clearly lost a few precious seconds, but somehow still managed to set the fastest time of all, albeit by only 1 second. Not so lucky were his Ford teammates Jaapie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman, who so nearly managed to miss the gate post, but they didn't. Van Niekerk's demise allowed a gaggle of Volkswagen Polos all to move up a position on the overall standings, led by Hergen Fecken, who drove in his first rally since last year, and his first ever in a left-hand drive car. Thilo Himmel was doing an excellent job of maintaining his 5th place overall, but the young man now had a determined Gugu Zulu breathing down his neck, just 3 seconds adrift. And the retirement of Wilbro Dippenaar handed the current NRC4 lead to Theuns Hubert and Marie van der Walt. Stage 5, the much-anticipated Van der Merwe Super Special stage, where 2 cars must race each other over different loops of the same track. The locals have pulled out all the stops to create a fantastic spectacle. But for the drivers, the sun was setting, and there was little wind to clear the dust. First up, the race between Henk Latergan and Leroy Poulter, Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo and Castrol Toyota Yaris. Poulter has had a nightmare of an afternoon, and to rub it in even more, it's the Polo of Latergan who takes the race victory by 3 seconds. This was the fight between rally leader Marc Cornier in his Ford Performance Fiesta and Gugu Zulu in the second Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo. Cornier clearly had the bit between his teeth, as he had won every stage so far, and the Super Special was no different. A victory over Zulu and another fastest stage time in the process. Next up was the battle between 2 big names in South African motorsport. In the one corner, a double South African rally champion in the form of Hergen Fecken. In the other, a man who's won the Dakar rally, Janelle de Villiers. And it's the Dakar hero who takes it by just over a second. The sun had set over the Mpumalanga Highveld, but the action was far from over, as one more stage remained. The 3.75 kilometers of the Lake Umuzi stage in total darkness. From first on the road, it was Henk Latergan and Barry White who made the most of their road position to break Cronje's winning streak by setting the fastest time of all. It was only by 0.2 of a second, so it did little to affect Cronje's overall lead, but it was enough to move ahead of Janelle de Villiers and into second on the overall standings. Marc Cronje goes to bed on day one as the leader with a 26-second advantage over Henk Latergan, who managed to sneak past Janelle de Villiers and into second. Hergen Fecken looked steady in fourth overall, ahead of his Volkswagen teammate Gugu Zulu. It's the Saturday of the inaugural Secunda Motor Rally, and the day that will determine the outcome. Janelle de Villiers had high hopes of reeling in second place man Henk Latergan.
We're going to try our best today, try and push as hard as we can and see where we finish up.
At the same time, Latergan may have had intentions of fighting for a victory.
Because yesterday it was really close. When we had a good car, we were battling for tenths of seconds, so it's going to be tight, I think.
Marc Cronje was leading the rally and opening the road on day two.
Yeah, and hoping there's not too much dew on the grass, but it's the same for everybody, so let's go and play.
And these were the first battlefields of the Saturday morning of the rally. Stage 7 was named Stiener after the brickyard and land on which it was based. And at a massive 33 kilometers in length, it could well have decided the outcome. After Stiener, it was straight onto stage 8, where owner Chori put up a huge show for the thousands of appreciative rally fans who came out to witness the action. Chori's farm would provide another 14 kilometers of now even more dusty but smooth gravel roads. Courtesy of his problems on day 1, Leroy Poulter started the day way down the order. But the champion had very little else to lose and lots to gain. The Yaris blitzed through the Stiener and Chori farm stages to set the fastest times on both, moving up into 6th position overall and moving closer to 5th. The 5th position in question belonged to Gugu Zulu, but Zulu's team decided it was necessary to change the entire gearbox underneath his Polo during the morning's first service, which was only 15 minutes long. In a monumental effort, they managed to do it all in 18 minutes, earning Zulu just 30 seconds in a lateness penalty. With a healthy Polo under his seat, the fastest brother in Africa set off to claim 2 consecutive top 4 stage times. Zulu's troubles gave teammates Hergen Fecken and Pierre Aris a bit of breathing space. The Volkswagen driver had his sights set on the Toyota of Janelle de Villiers ahead of him. De Villiers had said earlier in the day that he had every intention to fight for a second position. But after stages 7 and 8, the Dakar hero had to have eyes in the back of his head because Hergen Fecken had closed the gap to his 3rd place to just 5 seconds. With de Villiers dropping off somewhat, it all meant that the Secunda Motor Rally honours would go to either Marc Cronje or a very determined and fast Henk Latergan. Cronje won all but one stage on day 1 and started day 2 with a healthy lead of nearly half a minute. But the young Latergan came out with all guns blazing early on the Saturday morning. Cronje set a blistering pace from first on the road on Stiener, only to have Latergan go 10 seconds faster. And on Chori's farm, the Polo driver managed to shave off another 2 seconds to reduce the overall gap to just 16 seconds. And all of a sudden, we had a fight on our hands. Here's proof of Marc Cronje's lead, which has shrunk to just 16 seconds over Henk Latergan. De Villiers has fallen back a touch, and now Hergen Fecken is breathing down his neck, while Gugu Zulu's Polo was sporting a new gearbox and was 5th overall. Back in the Dunlop service park, Janelle de Villiers had to let go of his plan to fight for second.
Well, that plan disappeared. No, I mean, it was very, very fast on the first stage.
Henk Latergan had his tail up and was perhaps aiming for a victory.
I'm going to keep on going like I'm going now. There's not a lot more I can do. I'm basically driving max attack everywhere.
But the man still in control of proceedings was none other than Marc Cronier.
I think he's pushing hard, and it's good to see. I must say it's good for VW.
This is where the rally would be won or lost, stages 9 and 10. It was the exact 2 stages at Tierbiestene and Chori's farm from before, where thousands of spectators had now gathered to witness this enthralling battle in what could only be described as the Colosseum of the Secunda Motor Rally. Marc Cronier knew that the young Latergan was coming for him, so the former champion had no choice but to respond. But this was Cronier in huge trouble as he slid wide and through a fence. The time ticked by as he got going again, but he has now also picked up a puncture to add to his woes. He reached the end of the long stage in a time of 21 minutes 22 seconds. Could he have lost the rally in one foul swoop? Henk Latergan would have been unaware of Cronier's troubles and the opportunity that he had to take the lead, so the polo driver was still pushing hard. But that was impact with the scenery, resulting in a broken rear suspension and unbelievably a sad end to his challenge.
Oh, the wheel's off. The wheel just disappeared down the road.
Yeah, but maybe this is...
No, Barry, the wheel is gone.
With Latergan's demise and Cronier's troubles, the door was wide open for Hergen Fecken to move up the leaderboard. A podium finish would have been a dream return for the former champions. But this too wasn't to be, as the rear suspension on their polo failed and forced them to the sidelines, with terrible luck for Volkswagen, who lost 2 runners in a matter of minutes. Thank you very much, is what Gugu Zulu and new co-driver Hilton Orfree probably had to say inside the last of the remaining Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polos, who, courtesy of the Latergan and Fecken retirements, inherited 3rd position. And 2nd position was now safely in the hands of Janil de Villiers, whose Yaris had around 30 seconds between himself and 1st place, but also around 45 seconds between himself and Zulu in 3rd. And through all of this, Marc Cronier maintained his grip at the top of the Secunda rally, with just a few stages to go. This was to be the last opportunity for anyone to try and influence the outcome. The short stages 11 and 12 at the Graceland Casino Complex and the Lake Umuzi waterfront in front of thousands of enthusiastic spectators who have enjoyed every second of the spectacle so far. Unfortunately for Tiens Hubert, his rally ended within sight of the finish when his Ceylon Group Aurus went off the road and into a dam on stage 11. Both Hubert and navigator Marie van der Walt escaped unhurt. Thilo Himmel steered clear of trouble to record his best finish to date, a very credible 5th place for the Namibian in his Volkswagen Polo. And for defending champion Leroy Poulter, it was a case of what could have been had it not been for the trouble on day 1. Poulter won every single stage on day 2 and was rewarded for his efforts with the points that come with 4th place. The fat lady had already hit her notes by the time the top 3 entered the final few kilometres. These guys were not going to throw it away so close to the finish, and with nothing more to gain, they settled for their podium positions. Gugu Zulu crossed the flying finish for a 2nd, 3rd place finish in as many events, while Janil de Villiers cruised to a fine 2nd place, exactly what the doctor ordered. But the Secunda Motor Rally turned out to be another vintage event for Marc Cronier and Robin Houdson, who took their 3rd victory of the season. A comfortable 51-second victory for Marc Cronier ahead of Janil de Villiers and Gugu Zulu. Leroy Poulter recovered well to take 4th ahead of Thilo Himmel, while the names of both Latergan and Fecken disappeared from the leaderboard. And in typical Secunda Motor Rally fashion, they made a spectacle of the podium celebrations at Lake Umuzi, much to the delight of the large crowd. But the stars of the show were the ones who tasted the sweet taste of victory champagne. And it's a taste which Gugu Zulu seems to be getting hooked on.
The team was incredible this weekend. We had big issues and we had to change the gearbox in, 17 minutes, which was a record for us.
Second position is exactly what Janil de Villiers wanted to get his season back on track.
You know, I hope we can build on this and keep on improving, and we'll see how it goes.
But 3 wins from 3 events mean that Mark Cronje will now be hard to catch in 2015.
Well, certainly not easy, but it's great to have the momentum in 3 events. Having some nice points in Leroy's a bit of a breather, but it's definitely going to be a fight all the way through.
Round 4, the 2015 South African Rally Championship will take place in the Limpopo town of Bella Bella. And if last year's event is anything to go by, spectators will be in for yet another treat. So see you in Bella Bella on the 19th and 20th of June. Highlights of Round 3 of the South African Rally Championship was proudly presented by Motorsport South Africa and its partners, Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford, Sasol and Dunlop.